morning, everybody. So back with another video. It's been a while, quite a long while, but been just super busy. Still am super busy, but I thought I'd just quickly stop and do a quick video on a technique that I've been asked a couple of times about, so I thought I might as well just do a video about it. I apologise if I look weird. I've had the hay fever from hell yesterday. It's actually sunny here in the UK for once, and as soon as the sun comes out, nature just wants to kill me. So yeah, if I'm talking a bit funny and I look a bit puffy and weird, it's because I'm hay fevered to death. So yes, sorry it's been so long. It's been a long time since I've done this. It's just trying to find the time to do it, but I've got all day on gear today, so I thought quickly, it's not going to be a very long video, but it's going to be a video nonetheless. And what we're going to be doing is looking at doing what's called a bias binding, or just a binding. And what that is if you look on this pair of sort of boxing MMA style shorts here, you'll see at the bottom we need to finish these legs off. As you can see now, it's just rough, it's just raw fabric, and on this one it's just raw fabric there, which isn't any good because you want to be able to finish that off. Now you could fold it under, do like a hem and sew that on, but that's not going to look quite as nice as adding a binding. And what that is by taking strips of fabric, and you can use anything, you can use the corresponding colour or different colour, whatever your customer wants or whatever you want. I'm going with the red that I'm used on the side panels, and basically what it is, it's attaching that around the bottom of the shorts. Now it's also, you'll probably notice it on tops. For instance, when I do singlets, you'll see a strip all the way around the armholes, the neck hole, anywhere where there's a raw edge that you don't want to fold in. The problem with why you wouldn't do that on a singlet, why you wouldn't fold it in and make a hem, is because you've cut your pattern, your shoulder pieces are a set width on the shoulder. You can't add seam allowance because then it reduces the neck hole and it reduces the armhole. So you can't fold it under, and you can't add seam allowance and then make a hem, because you'll have to make the piece too wide and then you reduce your arm and your neck hole. And you don't want to fold it, you don't want to cut it at the right shape, but then fold it in, because then you're reducing the shoulder and you end up with just like a tiny little strip, which is what I used to do. I did the first time I ever did something like that, and I realised and it just looked like two spaghetti strings, sort of hanging down the side of here like this. So the way to combat that is to do a bias. Now with the shorts, yes, you could fold that over because you're not losing much material. You could just accommodate a little extra for seam allowance, but it doesn't look good. It looks good when you add the bias binding on there. So and it'll also work on, you see for instance this top pattern that I've got. This is a back, like a racer back for a woman's sort of bra top type thing, sports bra type. If I was to fold that in, add a seam allowance in that, there'd just be nothing there. It'd just be like a tiny little strip. But at the same time, if I make it too big, it brings the neck hole higher than you want it. So with this one as well, I'll be adding a binding onto each end of this, so it keeps that exact size and shape, and the bottom there'll be something different. As well as with the binding, you don't really want to put elastic in. So on the bottoms of these shorts, because they're quite loose, let's get back a little bit, because they're loose, kind of like boxing style shorts, you don't want to put elastic in because you're just adding weight, and elastic's unnecessary if it's baggy. If it's tight, like a pair of tights or trunks, then yeah, you want to add elastic in because you want it to grip, but these you don't want these to grip. And the same goes on a top or a singlet. You don't want to add any elastic in, you just want the bias. Because it's stretchy, it double layers up and it adds as a kind of elastic anyway. If you add elastic in, it kind of rugs up and, you know, rolls up and wavy. It looks a bit wavy and it doesn't look very good. So, yeah, what have I done so far? Okay, so what I've actually done, because I wasn't I actually started working before I started filming. So all I've done is I like my bias. I mean, you can do a bias as big or as small as you like, but I like mine to be around about 1 centimetre. And to make a 1 centimetre bias, you need a 2-inch wide strip of fabric, and this is also cut to the length of the leg hole. So by the time it's sort of sewn up like that, you'll have it in a little loop like this. So to get a 1 centimetre bias, you need a 2-inch strip, because it's got to fold this way and it's got to fold up the back as well. So when it becomes, I don't know how well you can see this. Hang on, let me put a light on. Is there a light? Why is my light not working? Bear with me a sec. Hang on, we'll check that in a moment. So yeah, what was I saying? Because it folds under the garment that way, and it folds under the garment that way. So to get a little strip, you actually have to have more fabric than you think you need. But we'll go over that at the sewing machine. So yeah, cut yourself, measure the hole that you're going to be bias binding, and measure it exactly. Don't measure it under or over. Measure it exactly, because you don't want it to pull. You don't want it baggy, and you don't want it to pull the armhole in either. You want it to just sit on the outside of it. So measure the hole exactly and cut your strip exactly to the length. And if you're following this tutorial, cut a 2-inch piece. I actually have this ruler, which is exactly 2 inches this way, and this is like, I use this for everything. This is like saying, this is like what I use for belts. That's the perfect belt width, and it's also the perfect bias binding width. So you can literally just lay this down and cut it both ends, and you get a perfectly straight 2-inch piece. I really recommend one of these. This is called Faithful. It's by a company called Faithful. I got it off Amazon. I'll try and find a link in the description. Yeah, it's a 1 meter ruler, metal, and it's just, honestly, it's a godsend. I use this for everything. This is probably like one of those tools that, you know, if you said what can't you live without, it would be this. So yeah, get yourself a good ruler, cut yourself to length, and cut yourself 2 inches, and then we'll go to the sewing machine and go from there. Hello, so fixed the light, so you should be able to see a little bit better now. So the first thing that we're going to do is stitch the two ends together, and we stitch it right side to right side. So make sure that your good side is inside and the back side is on the outside. And then we're just going to stitch this end together here. We ain't going to be too precious about it, of where the distance that so you don't want to sew too far out, so too much seam allowance kind of thing, because don't forget we cut it to shape, so we don't want too much pulling. Just as a zigzag stitch, and then very carefully, because you're right on the edge. Hope you can we see this? Because you're right on the edge, you're quite close to the edge. There's a high likelihood that the machine's going to pull your fabric down inside the feed dogs inside the machine. So just go slow and steady. Be careful, especially on the back stitch, because the back stitch, like which I'm doing now, is the one where it tends to pull it. And then we're just slowly working our way down. It's also quite important that you get your ends to match. So don't have one the one hanging out and one going in, because then when you do a bias, it's gonna be crooked. So you want to try and get that nice. And I'm just tickling it onto the edge, nothing. And a little back stitch, just careful. And that's what you're looking at doing on that. So you're just looking at doing a little zigzag stitch there, matching the ends up. So when we turn it inside out, you've got an equal piece, like that. Okay, and we do that on the next one. Okay, so here we are. Got my shorts, and I've got my 2 sewn up bias pieces. Now, how do you do it? So for starters, you need pins, and again, get yourself one of these. Honestly, they're the best things you'll ever buy, and they're the cheapest things you'll ever buy. And it's so handy to always have pins right there when you need them. So we go into the leg hole, and as you can see, the shorts are the right side up, and the bias binding needs to be the wrong side up. So you turn it inside out so the wrong side is on the top. And you want to lay it now. Now I like to match this seam that we made on the bias, match a seam on the shorts. I don't know how well we can see this. So I've got the sun in my eyes, so I can't see the screen very well. As you can see, there's a seam there. So I want to match that with that seam, and you do that the same on any garment because you want it, you want the seams to match. You don't want a seam there and then a seam down here. You want to try and get your seams to match, and I always try to get them match in a place where you're not really going to see it. So this one's right on the inner thigh. You'll see it, but you won't see it as much as if it was up here on the side. So how am I attaching it? Now, what's the best way to show you this? So I'm holding the shorts, so the waist is towards me here, and I have the leg hole sort of facing me like this. Your bias, your start of your bias goes over the top of the shorts. You line up your seam there, and you put a pin through there, like that. Okay. So the bias is actually coming back towards the waistband. So that's the edge that so your 2 edges, the ends of your shorts and the ends of the bias are together, and the back of the bias is coming up towards the waistband. The bias is wrong side up, right side down. The shorts are right side up, wrong side down. So your 2 right sides are together. Okay, so this is so when you fold it over, you get the right side facing you and the right side of the shorts facing you. So right side to right side. Now what you've got to do is just go along and pin. Now we're not pulling, we're not stretching and adding any tension because you've cut it. You cut it to shape. It should fit. So what we're going to do is just very lightly work it across, pinning as we go, working your way across. Now we've got the tricky bit coming up because there's a curve. Now bias bindings are always easy. When it's a big gradual curve like a shoulder or a neck hole, or just a nice straight line, they're perfect. But with these shorts, I'll show you on this one. These shorts have got a big cutout here, so it goes up and down like that. So we've got to get round that. Most of the work that we do on this will be done at the sewing machine. So all I'm doing is bending the fabric without pulling it, bending it round like that and pinning in place there. It's not going to be perfect because it's only one little pin, but when you stitch it you'll be able to maneuver it a little bit better. And now I'm coming down onto the straight, I'm pinning, and now I'm coming down. Now this curve is a little bit easier because I can flatten it out. So I'm just working my way around the curve. You'll need to use more pins than you think because you want to sort of come at it in little stages rather than do a big run, because if you do a big run it goes straight across the curve. It won't actually meet the curve. So keep pinning, and like I say, you'll adjust this anyway when you come to sew it, because this is just to make sure that you haven't got any rugs or runs. I'm coming to the next curve now. How well can you see this? Because I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm doing. Coming up to the other curve, and then I'm coming back onto the straight from the other leg now. At this point now, you might need to just add a little bit of tension one way or the other, because even though you've got it perfect, even though you cut it to the right size, you'll still have to add a little bit of stretch. But I've got a little bit of loop in there, but just a little pull, and it goes, gone. That's fine. That amount of pulling in is okay. If you have to really pull it to make it fit, then no, you're going to get rugs. So that is what you're looking at. Remember, right side to right side, with the back of the binding going towards the waistband, and then pinned edge to edge around the bottom of the shorts. We've gone around our curve the best we can. Where is it? Here. We've gone around that curve the best we can. It's not perfect, as you can see. There's big gaps where the curve is, but we'll adjust that as we go. Now back to the sewing machine. Hi, so we're back at the machine. I've tried to get the best angle I can. It's really difficult to film at the sewing machine because I need to be here, and it always blocks, and the camera needs to basically be where I'm sitting. I'd like some sort of head-mounted camera. That'd probably be a good idea, actually, so you can see exactly what I'm seeing. But I hope this is kind of okay. I'll explain everything anyway. So what we're doing is we're now going to attach the first bias. So we're stitching from the top, so from the right side down. I've got a zigzag stitch on, and I've got the stitch width at 3.5. That's how I like to do it. And when you sew, let's let me take this off actually, and then I'll just show you handheld. So where my foot is, normally you would sew sort of right to the edge there, so the foot would be right to the edge. With this one, you want to come in a few mil, I don't know, about 5 mil from the edge. That's where you want to do your first stitch. Can you see that? How can I get this better? So rather than sewing right to the edge, you come in a little bit, about 5 mil. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll try and hopefully you can see this. So I'm starting, oh, and also I'm starting near to where the two seams met, because the first thing you want to do is line that seam up. If you wait till the end, you haven't got any, there's no more give, so you won't be able to line the seam up. You want to try and line it up as best you can, perfectly if you can, but it's quite hard to line the seam up perfectly. So what I'm doing is I've lined my two fabrics up together, and I've moved the foot over about 5 mil, and now I'm just going to stitch, keeping concentrating on that 5 mil gap. Don't look at your needle. There's no point to ever look at the needle. The needle doesn't move. The needle doesn't go anywhere. It goes up and down. It's not going to go anywhere. You need to be concentrating on this 5 mil gap between the edge of the fabric and the foot. Okay, and we're starting, like I said, we're starting next to the two joins, the two seams. I'm taking the pin out now because now I can adjust the two seams and make sure I get them as perfect as I possibly can. So I'm holding it against and I'm sewing, keeping that 5 mil gap. When you get to the seam, you're going to notice it's going to be off. So I'm You need to get as close to you can and keep adjusting it. Pull the top or the bottom one, whichever one needs pulling, until you've locked that seam in. You're not really going to be sure of how well you did until you've finished. And now we'll go over that seam now, and we're going to continue all the way around, and I'll probably just drop that in a time lapse because it's slow, tedious work. So yeah, enjoy. Okay, so that's done. We've gone all the way around the bottom. The curve gave me a little bit of trouble, but as you can see, it's nicely fixed. There's no real issue there. Where is the curve? There it is. Now I don't know if you can start to see what we're doing now. So now we've got this sort of dangly piece. There's the curve at the front. This dangly piece that sort of hangs down, but now we need to turn that up over itself, and then we'll stitch it again to lock it into place. So yeah, readjustment of the camera. I'll be back. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to fold this under. So we fold it, let's have a look, it's impossible. We fold it like this, and then it has to be folded again under this piece that we've joined it onto. So you've got this little flap, you want it under that. So I'm going to do it, and then I'll show you what I've done, because it's hard to show you without actually doing it. So I fold that under, like that, and again it's about 1 centimetre, and then I fold, so I'm folding this to meet the bit that we've just sewn. So it folds, and it folds again, and I'll pin that, and then I'll show you what I did. And then we put a pin through everything, like that. So that's what we're looking for. See where the pin is? And as you can see, it's folded under twice. So we went fold, fold again, and that way you don't get a raw edge. You don't get a raw edge here inside, because the shorts are going to be baggy. You're going to see inside. So you don't just want to sort of fold that like that and then leave this raw edge. You want to double fold it like this, okay? So you kind of encapsulate in the edge, which is why we've taken that 2-inch down to this roughly 1 centimetre binding. Again, you can do this as big as you want. You just when you stitch the first row of stitches we did, you just come out more than the 5mm. Come out more if you want it wider, come out more. But the wider you do it, you need to make the piece wider as well, because it's got to fold over. So if you've took 1 inch, you've got to add 1 inch if you get my drift. So I'm going to pin this now. Again, it'll be sped up, and then I'll show you what the entire thing looks like, and then we'll do the last stitch. So yeah, let's go. So that's all pinned. You can start to see now the look that we're going for. You can see this red line goes all the way up and around the curve and around the back and the sides. Oh, where is it? There it is. And it's so now what we have to do is top stitch this. Now you can't you can bind where it's bound and it's stitched inside, so you can't see any stitches on the outside. That's like a common clothes making bias binding, but I like to, because this is wrestling gear, I like the security of that first stitch, folding it and stitching it again, so I know for a fact it's not going to come off. I've seen on TV before where you can see the splits have started to come, and it always comes on that part where the bias is, because the bias has only been sort of cosmetically put on. The only way I could see it, rather than structural. It would be nice to sort of keep it nice and clean without any stitching on the top, but I'm not prepared to do that because it's not strong enough. So I guarantee you that these bindings will not come off once we've sewn them on the top stitch. So that's the next step, is to stitch that on. So we'll go back to the machine and I will show you how to stitch that on. Okay, so back at the machine. Again, I've kept the zigzag stitch on a 3.5 width. The length I use is, for most of my zigzag stitching, is 1.5. But that's your personal choice, or the choice of your customer or yourself, whoever you're making it for. Now, you can use a top stitch which is the same colour, but as you can see, I've already edged in black, so I'm going to black because I quite like to use a contrasting thread. I think rather than trying to hide it, trying to make a feature of it, but if you're going to do a contrasting thread, you've got to make sure that you sew it right, because you're going to see it more than you are if it's not contrasting. Now, I like to start again in a place where you're not really going to see it. So in this case, it's going to be on the inner thigh against that seam. I didn't do too bad matching those seams. They're not perfect, but not bad. Oh, can you see that? Is it? There you go. Not too bad. So now, where am I stitching? I'll set this up and then I'll bring the camera over so you can see where I'm stitching. So where am I stitching? I'm putting it, so my first stitch starts on this inside, right onto the inside edge, and then it goes out. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to look at everything at once. So this edge to this edge. So starts here by the shorts, and it goes right into the joint, and then it'll zigzag out like this. Okay, and I'll do that, and then I'll show you. That's probably the best way to do it. So see you in a minute. So I've had to stop work because there's a visitor jumped into the shop, and we'll just cry continuously at the door until I let her in. So this is Pixie. Say hello to everybody. Look. There you go, there's Pixie being a nose. So yeah, I will resume work in a moment once she's decided to just not sleep on my lap while I'm trying to work. There you go. Cat gone. Let's resume. there we go. A nice edged leg hole, which is edged nicely all the way around. The double stitch there is on the inner thigh, so you're not going to see it as much. If I hold them up like this, you can see the difference between this side and this side, which hasn't been done yet, and how it just adds a little. Now, I got asked a question about puckering, like the fabric puckers when you do when you try and edge, when you're trying to edge. Tips for nut puckering: cut your bias to the right size. Don't pull it or stretch it when you are sewing, and don't use elastic. There's no need to lose elastic in that. You can see it's gone round there nice, round the hole nice, and the contrasting black thread I just think just gives a nice little extra touch. Like I said, you can use the right thread or not. So the only thing is to do the other side, and then to do green ones on these. This is for the lady who they bought. Yeah. Oh, and I will do a tutorial one day as well on this waistband. Oh, there you go, that's better. This kind of like sort of more MMA boxing style waistband, as you probably noticed on these, which is a bit more trickier than doing a regular waistband, but it looks kind of cool on things like this. So there you go, that's your bias binding tutorial done. Yeah, and you can, on the inside it's nice and tidy on the inside, nice and tidy on the outside, and that works for everything. You can do that with everything. You can do it with, like I say, tops, and I'll be doing it on the tops, and I also do it on the foot of the kick pad, so around the toe, just to finish that edge. I've seen on a lot of kick pads they just leave that edge raw, but I like to add a binding onto the edge. It just finishes that toe area off, and I will be doing that on these kick pads once I've cut everything out and sorted that. So there you go, bias binding, job done. But stick around for news. So I get a lot of questions about various things, work things, wrestling things, all sorts of other things. So I thought, let's do a Q&A type thing. Not a live Q&A, but a sort of submitted questions Q&A. So if we say from this video today on this Instagram post, because this is going on Instagram and on YouTube, if we say, if you have any questions you want to ask, anything at all about the job, the work, the shop, or anything in between, personal, private, not private, but you know what I mean, just anything, general questions about what I do and stuff like that, then send them to me on Instagram, and I will let that run for a week, and then on the weekend I can do a video in here answering those questions, and then I'll post that onto YouTube and onto Instagram as well. If you want to ask something, you might not. If I don't get enough questions, then obviously I won't. But if I get a decent amount of questions, I will answer them. And please ask whatever you like, you know. Whatever you like, I don't care. Ask me anything. So yeah, there you go. Bias binding and upcoming Q&A. And again, if anyone's interested in this design hoodie with the Black Country Beast around the hood, it's kind of like a bigger hood, sort of like a more of a snorkel type hood. Design, if anyone's interested in this, you see it? This. Let me know, because if there's enough interest for it, then I can get them made. I can actually get them sent off and be made, so let me know on that as well. So yeah, goodbye.